Joe Rogan getting all benzodiazepines. I don't know what benzodiazepines is. Jordan Peterson getting all benzodiazepines. But I'm probably butchering the name. I don't know what it is, but we gonna see. I guess
I
he's in
failed
the
all of my
spotlight for
classes
this.
in high school and ended up dropping out.
The Joe
Hey,
Rogan
they was talking about how
Experience.
Joe Rogan, he was on some horse drugs. That's what they was saying. I mean, obviously, he let everybody know, bro, I'm not on no horse drugs. Why I keep saying that? But that's what they said. They said he was on horse drugs, and I don't know nobody that's on horse drugs getting up with COVID. But I mean, if they gonna say it, that's what the news do. They just want reactions and all that. But it's fine.
What is it like to be you? Like, what is it like to? And then I know you've gone through a lot of shit.
Facts.
And this latest thing with getting off of the benzodiazepine, that to me was a real shocker because, first of all, I had no idea that you were taking it. And then to find out that it's that difficult to get off of, and then to hear from other people that have tried to get off of it how difficult it is, and then to realize how many people around me have an issue with that stuff. Xanax is a motherfucker. And I didn't know what a motherfucker it was until I talked to a friend who is a counselor at a drug rehab center, where he was saying that that is one of the ways that people get locked back into drinking and doing drugs, is a psychiatrist will prescribe Xanax. And sober people who get on Xanax all of a sudden start drinking. He said it's super common. He said that it's one of the most difficult drugs to get off of. He said, and this is something that Dr. Carl Hart, who's I love him to death. He's brilliant. He speaks so openly and honestly about drugs, and the guy's a professor at Columbia. He said that there's two drugs that will kill you when you get off of them. He goes, it's alcohol and benzodiazepine. Those are the two that if you just quit, you'll fucking die.
So So for you guys that don't know, benzodiazepines are used for anxieties and seizures. So Jordan Peterson is getting of age, so that's why he probably need benzodiazepines to help him out with things that's going on in his actual life. Now they say it's harder to get off benzodiazepines. I'm probably butchering the name. Let me see on Google.
How do you say it? Benzodiazepines.
Benzodiazepines. As y'all can see, that's how you say it. Alright, but they say it's harder to get off that than Xanax, and Xanax is hard to get off of, so I believe him. And if Jordan Peterson can't do it, I believe him. He out here doing good for the community.
And
Or you wish you would.
meanwhile, they're handing those things out like Tic Tacs.
Yeah. Well, they were regarded as a safe substitute for barbiturates. And you could easily overdose on barbiturates, especially with alcohol.
Well, when did they know? When was it in the literature, the difficulty of detoxing yourself from these?
Very recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And when did they start being handed out?
20 years ago.
Fuck.
More.
So what happened? People just stayed on them?
Often.
I have one good friend that takes it every day and takes it oftentimes with alcohol, which I know you're absolutely not supposed to do. There's not a damn thing I can do about it. This is a friend that I love to death, and I put my hands up and I go, there's nothing I can do. And
Sometimes that's how it goes. If you got a friend that's doing something, all you can do is speak. Tell them, like, hey, look, that's not something I appreciate. That's not something I like for my friend to be doing. I love you, I respect you, and I don't want you to be doing that. And if they continue to do it, that's literally all you can do. You can try to go get some help, ask them, hey, you want to get some help, take them to this place. If they don't want to get the help, leave it alone, because you're going to ruin a relationship trying to do something that they don't want to get done. It might be for the benefit of them, but if they don't want to get it done, you can't. It's a free world. It's a free America. So you can't go out and make people do something. Even if it's illegal, you can't make people do things that they don't want to do. Chill, leave it out, live your life, and make sure you're actively and proactively engaging in conversations with them to understand where they're coming from instead of bashing them, trying to get them to do something that you want them to do. Pro tips.
On it for more than 10 years.
Yeah, well, I started taking them because I was ill,
Yeah.
and they helped because I
Ill
couldn't
in-
sleep. I
ill in
couldn't
what
sleep
way?
at all. I don't know. I still really don't know what happened
You
to
couldn't
me.
sleep, and so an anti-anxiety medication. Do you think that this is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about? This is why I brought up the fame thing. How much of the pressure of being attacked by all these different people and having these people write these horrible articles about you, and I know you read that stuff, which is different from me. I don't read stuff about me, and I think that's helped me tremendously. And that, like, my gauge of how I deal with people is, like I said,
Tucker Carlson doesn't read
eye to
things
eye.
about him either.
You can tell. You can tell by the way he communicates. He seems free. There's a burden that people carry around when they read things about themselves. Like Eric Weinstein has that burden sometimes. When people read.
Yeah, well, part of the reason, so did I read things about me? Well, yeah, but that wasn't what was stressful exactly, although it was.
It's
Well,
a
what was
multitude
stressful
of things.
when I first I've had a history of depression, and that runs in my family, and that's probably stems back for me right to the time when I was a kid. And I think when I really got sick in 2016, it was partly a manifestation of that. But at the time, my job was threatened, like actually,
Right. Yeah.
and my clinical practice was threatened, and the Canadian Revenue Agency was after me all at the same time. And they were after me because of a mistake they had made, which they admitted 3 months later. And the college was after me because of a vindictive client who came after me with a pack of lies, but because they were so... And basically, I emerged from that unscathed, but that was by no means obvious that that was going to be the case. I was accused of sexual misconduct. And the evidence? When I was dealing with this client, I would turn my wedding ring around.
You'd spin it?
Well, I play with it.
Right. And that
Well,
was
to-
sexual misconduct?
Yeah, well, to her, it was a signal of some dark underlying desire that that was polluting our therapeutic relationship.
I've been doing that with you the whole conversation.
Yeah.
I have this silicone wedding ring.
Yeah, well, I'm going to
always
report. I'd report
stick
you
my
if you had.
finger in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that all the
Yes,
time.
well,
Is
there
that
you go.
bad?
It's really bad. And if there was a college that governed the behavior of reprobates like you, I would definitely report. No, don't do
this.
that. That's
I do
terrible.
This. I
Joe.
stretch it out.
No, that's it's Freudian to the extreme. Although I don't know what turning it means.
How could this stretching a silicone wedding band be Freudian?
Well, you're putting your finger in the little hole. that
Rubber.
you're making.
Fuck kind of
Yeah,
vaginas
well,
you're dealing with.
Rubber is, that's got. Anyways, we don't have to
Anyway,
go there.
so
Yeah.
that was all you had done was play with your wedding ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that.
And I really helped her a lot. Like,
Well, unfortunately, when you're dealing with people that are extremely troubled, oftentimes they look for external reasons why they're troubled, and they find oppressors.
well,
and
she
they
was
find-
also angry with me because when all this blew up around me, it interfered with my clinical practice, and she had come to rely on our weekly meetings.
Oh, and
and
you had
so
to
she was
disrupt them.
she was angry about being abandoned, and it was really sad because I didn't want to abandon my clients, but. I had to stop my clinical practice, which was also very upsetting to me because I had like 20 clients and I knew these people, man. Like they were,
Right.
I knew these people.
Yeah.
I'd followed them through thick and thin. And then all of a sudden, so many things piled up around me that I found when I was in a clinical session that I was distracted.
So
Well, you can't be distracted in a clinical session.
right.
Look, when you blow up like Jordan Peterson has, it gets hard. I would assume it gets really hard to do your job because so many moving pieces. It's like running a business and you starting up and you got a whole lot of people trying to do this for you, and you're trying to work to build it out. You got a lot of people trying to sue you and things of this nature. And you got to have lawyers and things. A lot of moving pieces happen when you doing something at a bigger than normal scale. And like what Jordan Peterson is doing. So he's trying to manage 20 clients on a weekly basis and do his other things that he got going, like social media and all this other thing. and teaching for that fact. Y'all can't blame him for dropping a client or of 20 clients or 100 clients. It's a lot of stuff that goes into his life, and not a lot of people can relate to it. So we got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
And so, anyways, what emerged from that, and it was in the middle of the winter, and I have seasonal affective disorder, I couldn't sleep and at all for quite a long time. And I went to my doctor and I said, I can't sleep. And he gave me a sleeping medication and an anti-anxiety drug. And I took a little bit of the anti-anxiety drug and I could sleep. And my life was pretty stressful. And I thought, okay, I'm much better. I'm just going to leave this be. This is working. I'm not going to muck with it because I could barely go back to work.
And what was it? A low dose
Yeah. I couldn't even
of
feel
Xanax?
it.
Really?
Yeah, it was a low dose.
So it alleviated the anxiety, but it didn't affect your cognitive performance, or it didn't affect the way.
Well, it didn't affect it as much as how sick I was. Like that really affected it.
So sick meaning depressed.
No,
you mean
no.
When
no,
you say
no,
you're
it was,
sick.
No. When it hit, if I stood up, my blood pressure was really low. If I stood up, I'd faint. I was fainting 5 or 6 times a day.
When are we talking about here?
2016.
Okay, so this was when all the pressure from all these different sources was coming at you.
Yeah.
And that was making you sick. So it was physically.
Yeah, that was part of it. I think what it did was it stressed me enough so that I was more susceptible to whatever was wrong with me in the first place.
So there was
I've had a
something-
lot of immunological problems.
How long did it take you to recover from the benzos?
Well, when I finally, 2 years, and I haven't fully recovered, but
You haven't
also
fully
I was
recovered?
also sick. No, my left hand is quite numb, and was way more numb. Both hands of my feet were like completely numb, and I was in like excruciating pain for 2 years, like pain at levels that I didn't even know was possible.
All the time, or on occasion?
No, this is one of the things that was terrible about it, is that it was really, really bad in the morning.
And what did it start right after you got off of the Xanax?
No, but it got way worse.
So it just started showing up eventually.
Withdrawals is actually crazy. I ain't never been on a hard drug. Withdrawals is crazy. Even if y'all try to get off alcohol, it's wild. It's a crazy experience. You just feel things it's wild.
Yeah.
And then
It started to get worse about the same time that Tammy went into the hospital, but because she was fighting her way through, catastrophic cancer at the same time when this started to happen.
So this was additional stress.
Yes.
And that heightened everything.
Well, it certainly didn't help.
Right.
I think it made me more susceptible to something that was already happening. So whatever this illness that's plagued my family, my father, my grandfather, multiple cousins, and a lot of immunological problems on my mother's side too. I had a cousin whose daughter died of immunological problems, the same ones that Michaela had.
And this is all mitigated somehow or another by this only eating meat diet?
I don't know. It certainly is for Michaela.
You. And for you as well?
Well, I don't know that for sure. I know what the diet has done.
Wow. I can't, just imagine, if y'all know Jordan Peterson, y'all watched his lectures and his talks. It's wild. Jordan Peterson is, I would say, a self-disciplined person, and he's able to overcome a lot of things that's not in the spectrum of normal people, I would say. And for him to have a hard 2 years trying to get off a drug, y'all can probably tell how hard it is for the amount of knowing of himself that he does. So, I don't know. He said it helped him. So the doctors didn't do nothing wrong. They didn't misdiagnose him, none of that. It helped him and it helped his problem. But when his problem went away, he was so reliant on that stimulant to go to sleep or that depressant that he couldn't get off of it. He was stressed and things of that nature, so he couldn't fall asleep, couldn't do certain things, so he needed that to function, because if he didn't have it, he couldn't really function, And that's how it starts off with a lot of these drugs and that go around in the medical departments. But it's kind of sometimes necessary to, sometimes therapy and things of this nature can't help the problem as efficient as the synthetic drugs and things of that nature can help the problem. Sometimes you need that to actually be able to work. And that's what he needed. Now that he's trying to bump it off, he still hasn't 100% did it, but he's trying to do it, which is a great liberating experience, but it's a harsh experience. Like, you learn a lot about yourself, but you realize that you're not as strong as you used to be, or as strong as you think you are, and that's a liberating experience. Like, sometimes you need help, sometimes you need people to come and pat you on the back and things of this nature. So I appreciate him being forward with his audience about what he's going through, and I feel like a lot more people should be upfront with their audience, even though it's going to be a lot of blowback to those people that this happening, or they can't sleep, so they're taking this drug and these and that nature. If it's illegal and you didn't get it legally, don't obviously come forward with it, because your audience don't want to see you go to jail. Obviously, they want to see you keep producing content, but if it's something that's legal that you got from a doctor, then you should talk to your audience. Hey, I'm going through this. Maybe I won't do this, this, and this. Stuff like that. And I feel like it gives a more of a deeper connection with your audience. So I appreciate him for even being on the Joe Rogan podcast and saying these things with this nature. Like, the Joe Rogan podcast for Jordan Peterson has been immaculate. It's been it's been a good boost to his overall image, his overall client base, his overall population of subscribers and things of this nature. So he's been growing a lot from this Jordan Peterson podcast, and Jordan Peterson has been going through a lot. Well, I wouldn't say him himself has been going through a lot, but if y'all didn't know, recently he had said something on his podcast about the Spotify exclusives. And when he said that, he got a lot of people that was coming on his podcast and talking about it, and those people were like, oh, I don't like Spotify, and blah, 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 and now they're taking their music down. And Spotify is losing millions of dollars on just the premise of him saying something. And if you pay somebody $100 million a year for your platform, I don't feel like you want them to talking bad about you. But I wouldn't feel like not Jordan Peterson, but Joe Rogan was talking bad about Spotify. He was not at all. But just people don't really resonate with it, so they're trying to blow back. A lot of people just say things because they want to say things and they want to have an opinion. Sometimes your opinion doesn't matter, but sometimes your opinion can affect a lot of things. But I know Spotify is not going to lose out on the millions of dollars that they gave Joe Rogan just because a few people want to leave their sites, because Joe Rogan even gets other podcasts ads and things of that nature, so they can be paid. Like, some podcasts don't be getting paid, and if an ad person wants to go and put ads on Joe Rogan's podcast, they have to put ads on other people's podcasts too before they can even do that. And that's a great way to inform the platform and get more ads out to those podcasts that's not really getting that many ads from people in general. It's not really getting that many ads from businesses because they're not garnering a lot of attention. Since Joe Rogan is garnering so much attention, he's helping out a lot of people. And you can't, even if whatever you want to say about Joe Rogan, you can't say that he's not an excellent example of helping out other people. I mean, maybe he doesn't do it as a lot as other people doing it, but at the level he is, he does it enough for it can be like, hey man, like, I'm not just here for myself. Like, what I do, I bring people on my podcast. Even though I need people on my podcast to get it running, people come on my podcast and talk every day, get noticed. Like Jordan Peterson, I think he blew up from we wouldn't really know about Jordan Peterson right now, as he is right now, if it wasn't for Joe Rogan. And maybe we can't say that 100%. My light just turned off. Maybe we can't say that 100%, but I know for a fact that Jordan Peterson has garnered a lot of attention from that podcast. Thank y'all for watching. Peace out.